Hello, viewers. Welcome to Football Discussion Daily. I'm your host, CGO. Please endeavor to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and other social media platforms. Thank you in advance for helping us out on this show. Today, we're talking about the games that were played on Matchday 10 of the ongoing FIFA World Cup, the 2026 FIFA World Cup being co-hosted by the United States of America, Canada, and Mexico. In the games that were played, the Orange Boys, the Dutch, they played against Sweden, fellow Europeans, and they were able to get a comprehensive 5-1 victory against the Swedish side. It was a very disappointing result for the Swedish, who have been coached by Graham Potter. It was not a good one. Whereas for the Dutch team, Ronald Koeman was the very happy man today with the victory of his team. This is their first win at this World Cup. So it's a good result for them. And then we also had the Germans. They got the win late in the game against Ivory Coast. They won 2-1. Kudos to the man they called Dennis Undav, who came on as a super sub, and he made the whole difference for the Germans. And then we had in the third game, Curaçao were able to get a surprising draw against Ecuador. Ecuador were the team who were predicted, or let me say, favorite to win this game, considering the pedigree, or when you look at the kind of quality they have compared to the Curaçao team. But in football, anything is possible. So that was an upset because nobody expected that kind of result. And then we have the Japanese. They were on rampage when they played against Tunisia. It ended 4-0 in favor of the Japanese. For the Tunisians, it is very disappointing one for them because that loss means they are out of the World Cup. Very sad one for the Tunisia, despite having their coach being changed. That didn't make any difference. Avi Renard came in. He had just few days to prepare the squad. So what it means is that it's not a coaching issue. It has to do with the quality of player they took to the World Cup. So looking at the game between the Netherlands, it was a very good performance by the Dutch team. The Dutch teams played with high intensity. When they lose the ball, they try to recover it very quick. They didn't give the Swedish much space, and they showed that they really wanted to win this game. You see it from the way they played in this encounter, and they were more clinical up front compared to the Swedish, because the Swedish too had their own opportunity, but they were not as clinical in the final third. That was the difference between them and the Dutch team. The Dutch team were more clinical. They knew what to do when they are in the final third. In the case of the Swedish, indecision making affected some of the way they handled the ball when they get to the final third. So that was a major difference between the Dutch team and the Swedish team in this game. Brian Brobby had his first start at the World Cup, and he was able to get a praise within 70 minutes. He got the first one in the 50th minute, and then the second goal he got in the 17th minute to put the Dutch 2 goals ahead. And then in the second half, we had Cody Gakpo. He did something so fantastic in the 47th minute, and then the 54th minute, he was able to score a brace as well. So, which took the game to 4-0 in favor of the Dutch. And the second goal he scored made it the 100th goal of the 2026 FIFA World Cup. So, what it means is that that second goal that made it 4-0 for the Dutch made it the 100th goal of this ongoing FIFA World Cup, which is quite a good one. And then we had Antonio Elanga coming in as a substitute for the Swedish. He came on and then he was able to add a lot of, we could see a lot of energy, we see a lot of aggression from him. In the 59th minute, he was able to score a goal, at least to reduce the tally, and it was 4-1. And then we also had a substitute who came on for the Dutch, that is Crescencio Somersville. He came on and then he was able to score the fifth goal, a very brilliant goal from outside the box. He took a very nice shot that went straight into the net. And that was in the 89th minute to give the Dutch a convincing win, which means that the Dutch team are on top of the table. The Dutch has now created the tournament record by securing the longest unbeaten streak in the World Cup history at 14 matches, excluding penalty shootouts. They hold that record, which means they've surpassed the record of Brazil. Brazil had that record before of 13 games. They have extended their own record to 14. So the Brazilians held that record between 1958 to 1966. So now the Dutch have extended that record. Then for the Germans, the game between Germany and Ivory Coast, the Germans were able to get that 2-1 victory, courtesy of a brace from super sub Dennis Hunderv, the man who plays for Stuttgart. He came on and he was able to make the whole difference because Cote d'Ivoire took the lead through Frank Casey in the 30th minute. He was able to slot in a rebound after an initial attack led by Yan Diomande and Amad Diallo. And then we had the Germans scoring 2 goals that were overruled by VAR. These were as a result of fouls that were attributed to Alexander Pavlovich and also Jamal Musiala. So they were penalized for fouls during the build-up to those goals. So those goals were cancelled. And then the coach, Julian Nagelsmann, he made a very huge difference through his substitutions because he brought in players like Dennis Underv, the likes of Nadim Amiri, and then Jamie Llewellyn. Those guys came on and they were able to make the difference in the second half of this game to help the Germans secure victory against the Ivory Coast team. But one thing again is that the Ivory Coast team have themselves to blame because they had lots of opportunities in this game. In fact, before Dennis Undrev scored the winner for Germans, few minutes before then, Simon Adingra had a clear chance to win it for the Ivory Coast team, but he couldn't take advantage of that opportunity. And when you are playing as an underdog against a team that is favorite, when you don't take your chance, most times you end up paying dearly for it. And that was why when Dennis Undev scored that winner in the 94th minute, you could see the reaction of Simon Adingra. He knew if he has failed his team, if he had scored that goal, probably maybe that winning goal by Germany wouldn't have even happened. So in football, when you're an underdog, when you have your chance, you have to take it. That's the only way you can cause an upset. But when you keep losing chances against a team that is favorite, definitely you have yourself to blame. The Ivorians, they played very well in this game. They had their chances, but they were not clinical enough. They didn't take those chances. And at the end of the day, the Germans were able to come out smiling. Then they broke the record, that course that they've suffered since 2014 when they won the World Cup. They haven't scaled through the group stage of the World Cup. In 2018, they were knocked out in the group stage. And in 2022 World Cup, they were also knocked out in the group stage. So they have qualified for the first time since 2014 from the group stage of the FIFA World Cup. So it's a good one for the Germans. Now they are through to the round of 32, which is a good accomplishment for the German team. For Cote d'Ivoire, they will have to win their last game against the Curaçao for them to guarantee their place in the round of 32. Meanwhile, the Germans will be playing their last game against Ecuador. Ecuador really needs that game, considering the result they had against Curaçao. It was a very disappointing result for Ecuador when they played Curaçao. They made a lot of attempts, but unfortunately for them, I think they were not clinical enough. And the person that was, let me say, more guilty of not taking the opportunity is Hernan Valencia. He had multiple chances and he couldn't convert. But again, we must give credit to the 37 years old Curaçao goalkeeper, Eloy Rome, who was able to make some very outstanding saves today. He recorded 15 saves, setting a record for the most saves in a 90-minute World Cup game without extra time. The person that owes the highest save, but extra time is included, is Tim Howard, the U.S. goalkeeper. He's the one that has that record. I think that was sometime in 2014, if my memory serves me right. But he owes that record. And but this guy have set a new record because this happened just within 90 minutes. The one of Tim Howard happened in 120 minutes. Tim Howard made 16 saves in 120 minutes, but this guy made 15 saves in 90 minutes, which is a new record. Kudos must go to him because if not for those saves he made, probably Ecuador would have won this game comfortably. Ecuador had 75% possession and they had about 27 shots attempts in this particular encounter. And then 15 were on target. But unfortunately for them, they couldn't really get a goal in this encounter. And then Ecuador's 15 shots on target without finding the back of the net is the most by any team in a World Cup match without scoring since 1966. So that was really a very disappointing one for the Ecuador team. They did a lot in this game, but they were not just lucky, and then they were also not clinical enough. That's really affected them. Now they have just 1 point. Nobody expected them not to win this game against Curaçao. Curaçao also made history by getting their first point in the World Cup. So this is the first time, and this is their first World Cup appearance, and they're able to achieve something like this. I think the players they really showed lots of desire. The way they defended solidly throughout the game. They tried to make sure they cover up spaces, and they did a whole lot today. They were full of energy and trying to prevent the Ecuador players from getting access to their 18-yard box. So they were impressive today. I love the way they were able to mark. And then a player like Taichi Chong had a very good game today before he was substituted. He performed very well. Even while they were defending, they were trying to also create some kind of problem to the Ecuador team. A few occasions they did that, and if not for some of the saves the Ecuador goalkeeper made, probably they would have scored in this game. But I feel getting a draw in this game is a big surprise, a big upset because nobody expected it. Everyone was thinking that Ecuador will have a comfortable way. And this is a country that is less than 160,000 in population. They are the smallest country to have featured at the World Cup. So that is a very good one for the team from Curaçao. Credit must go to them. So their last game, they'll be playing against Cote d'Ivoire, while the Ecuador team will be playing against Germany in their last game. And then Japan, they defeated Tunisia in the last game of Matchday 10, 4 goals to nothing at the Monterrey Stadium in Mexico. It was a very great performance by the Japanese team. And this game they played is the 1,000th match in the World Cup history. And one thing that happened again is that they are the first Asian team to win a World Cup game by 4 goals to nothing. So that is an impressive performance that has been set by the Japanese team. Their striker, Ayase Ueda, had a brace in this game. That guy plays for Feyenoord, and he was the highest goal scorer in the concluded Dutch Eredivisie. He had a very good performance. So for somebody to have finished as the top scorer in a league like the Dutch league, that kind of a player is a player one should take very serious. So he had a brace in this game to help the Japanese get a convincing win in this encounter. So what it means is that they have the same point with Netherlands, the same goal difference. That's what they have, +4, just like the Netherlands. But because the Netherlands have scored more goals, so based on that, Netherlands are occupying the first position. They are occupying second, but they have the same goal difference. So the team that tops the group will be decided on the last game when Netherlands will be playing against Tunisia, while Japan will be playing against Sweden. So that will be the decider on who tops the group when that time comes. But the Japanese, they were really dominant in this game. They did well. Players like Daichi Kamanda had a very good game, a beautiful performance from him. He was the one who started the goal scoring, scored in the 4th minute, and then in the 31st minute, Ayase Oheda scored the second goal. In the 69th minute, we had a goal from Junya Ito, and then the 83rd minute, Ayase Oheda scored the fourth goal. So good one for the Japanese, and a very sad one for the Tunisians because now they've crashed out of the World Cup. And that is what happened on Matchday 10 of the ongoing 2026 FIFA World Cup. Please, if you have any comment to share or you have your thoughts, please kindly put it in the comment section. Thank you very much for watching and do have a wonderful time. Bye for now.